Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple.
Bayern Munich winning in the Bundesliga is nothing new, and so far this season they have won 5 of 6 matches, which is impressive considering the poor preseason that they had, which had some fans concerned. At the center of it all is the best young manager in the world, Julian Nagelsmann. But what have his tactics been, and how have the Bavarians operated under him? Let's take a look.
And if you want to keep up with your favorite teams and players, check out the OneFootball app. It'll give you team and player stats, transfer news, and so much more. Absolutely free through the sponsored link in the description below.
Bayern Munich's stats have been impressive, with the highest goals and expected goals per 90, as well as the third least goals conceded per game, only beaten out by Mainz and Freiburg. And at almost every prior team, Nagelsmann has primarily used formations with a back three. But it appears as though, at Bayern, he didn't want to completely tear apart the 4-2-3-1 that they had so much success with, so he has used the back three just twice. With regards to personnel, Nagelsmann has a general idea with space for rotation. But generally, these are the nailed-on starters. Stanisic and Pavard have shared game time, as have Gnabry, Musiala and Sané fighting for 2 wide spots. But let's first look at how Bayern build up in possession. And predictably, given the quality of the players and the playing style of the manager, Bayern have averaged the highest possession in the league, with 62%. And flexibility of formation has always been key for Nagelsmann, who teaches his players to adapt on the fly when on the pitch. A few teams, such as Dortmund and Gladbach, have looked to be more front foot against Bayern, looking to press the 2 centre-backs. Both centre-backs are good on the ball, but still, being marked man-to-man makes it a hard task. So, Bayern often shift to a back three to deal with the pressure. And often under Flick, it will be Kimmich who would drop in from midfield, with Müller then dropping in to assist Goretzka in midfield. This still happens at times under Nagelsmann, but the emergence of Stanisic has been key to the Bavarians. He can now be considered a right back, but often played as a centre back in the youth system, and during the initial build-up, he can tuck in to be the third centre back. And this then allows Nagelsmann to keep more numbers in midfield and between the lines as he likes to do, while still having a 3 versus 2 here. And in contrast, Davis, the left back, is an attacker who has been converted to a left back, so he appreciates the freedom to push higher afforded by the extra centre back. So, Bayern's shape on the field can actually look like the back three that Nagelsmann loves so much. But many Bundesliga sides know that Bayern can play through most presses, so instead they sit deeper initially, so Stanisic will then have a more traditional role. But as we saw with his Leipzig side, Nagelsmann likes to have one skillful man on either flank, whilst having plenty of men between the lines. This usually poses the opposition a dilemma, as if they stay central to cover the spaces, then skillful wingers can get into 1 versus 1 situations and get past their man. But if they mitigate this too early, then penetrative passes can find skillful attackers between the lines. So down the left, Gnabry or Musiala having comfortable starting infield and occasionally deeper, whilst Alonso can push up into his natural winger role. Down the right hand side is Leroy Sané, who you'd want isolated against a fullback. And here is where the versatility of the young Stanisic comes in handy, as he is also excellent at moving into the midfield to be an extra midfielder, which can then give Goretzka even more license to push forward, making it easier to also occupy the half spaces. Both the centre-backs and Kimmich are willing to attempt more difficult line-breaking passes into the men rotating between the lines. And if these men are able to receive between the lines, being so close to each other can mean they can combine quickly before looking for the killer pass forwards. But Stanisic's positioning often forced a defender inwards and opens up a passing lane for Sané to receive the ball. Bayern have yet to really see the best of Sané, as especially from the right hand side, he finds himself running into the well-protected centre when he cuts in onto his strong foot. But still, he and Davis in particular on the far side have done well in 1 versus 1 situations to then potentially get balls into the box. Teams have done well against Sané by marking him tightly when he's looking to receive, as this forces him to face backwards when receiving, making it more difficult to then turn and face his man. But Sané can use this to his advantage by dropping deeper to pick up the ball, which would draw the left back, and this creates space for the half-space man to then run into and look to make the difference. But one Achilles heel that has stayed with Bayern from the Flick era is that by committing so many men forwards in the attack, they can also look vulnerable on the reverse, although this is somewhat mitigated when Stanisic is operating deeper as the third centre-back. Let's briefly touch on some defensive elements. Defensively, Bayern have still been pressing, but not as intensely as they did under Flick or as much as Nagelsmann's prior sides. But they have still averaged a passes per defensive action of under 10 for the season so far. Pressing and defensive shape vary much more from match to match, but they primarily start in a 4-2-3-1, with Lewandowski trying to cut the horizontal passing lane, trying to force the opposition to one side or the other. But when opponents have a back two, Bayern can also switch to a front two to increase the pressure. This is often through Müller pushing up from attacking midfield to press the second centre back. But if Lewandowski has successfully filtered the opposition to one side, the far side winger can then press the second centre back, whilst the midfield goes man to man, making them difficult to play through. It has been a case of evolution rather than revolution from Nagelsmann, as the side still shares many traits with Flick's Bayern Munich. And it makes sense. There is no need to overhaul a side who have defended the Bundesliga and recently won the Champions League. But still, there are many distinctly Nagelsmann traits to this side, with young players like Stanisic and Musiala making a bigger mark, and it will be interesting to see how they continue to evolve. But what have you thought of Nagelsmann's Bayern Munich so far? Where could they improve? Drop it down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you may also enjoy the FMS Patreon. On Patreon, you'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as the ability to vote on various polls and so much more. It's a great way to support the channel, and it is now cheaper than ever. All you have to do is head over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple, or press the card in the top right or the end card at the end of this video.
But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.